Hey, IDS 302. Welcome to Module 4, Video 2. Um, what is it? It's Wednesday, February 3rd. It's about 10:40 in the morning. Nice morning here. God, I gotta turn the sound off of this. Okay, I'm not making any promises here. This video could go 30 minutes. Do I have that amount of time on my computer? I hope so. Because there's a few things I want to talk about that I think are appropriate. So let's get right into this. My notes that I made were a little bit frazzled, but I assumed I'd make sense of it when I was under pressure to talk, okay? Um, all right, 302. I'm going to skip that. Nobody asked me about it. Why should I talk about it? I think about research as what you're doing, and we've talked about it numerous times. You've read about it. You've read the handouts about what research is, what it is not, and such like that. So, to become better consumers of knowledge overall is one of my objectives for you, as well it is for me to continually become a better consumer of knowledge. And what does that mean? It means knowing when you look at, when you are confronted with, or when you see, or when you're talking about um, things that are, whether research, scientific, factual, non-factual, you have some hierarchy of knowledge that are a structure that you can apply to discern and consume the knowledge, the best knowledge. All right. For example, there is a doctor, epidemiologist I follow on Twitter, whose name is, I believe it's Eric Fiegel-Ding, on Twitter. He is Dr. Eric Ding. He's an epidemiologist, health economist. And there's integration right there, health economist, okay? Senior fellow FAS, former 16 years at Harvard, health justice advocate. All right, he got 10 for 10 on Room Rater, can't beat that. But he articulates a lot on the coronavirus and other areas of science, but mainly, of course, coronavirus. And I have found his analysis of data to be extremely important in terms of my own discerning of what I should do as a 63-year-old man, 62, not yet, 62-year-old man, who has my risk factors for this COVID and not ending well for me. Other people have different views, and that's fine. But he goes through different, he's talked about different vaccinations and things like that, and he looks at data. His data is the most important thing to him, and I know I already scrolled up to where, but he analyzes data from different ways. Here's a test. Okay, latest data do not have bearing on the debate over whether to further space out the doses of the two vaccines authorized in the United States. Those from Pfizer, BioNTech, and Moderna, since the data on AstraZeneca's candidate cannot be generalized to other vaccines. So you see what he's doing there. Okay, he's not applying a big blanket, promise about the research and the data. As I've said before, research is humble. Okay, it stays in its lane. It doesn't overpromise and then underdeliver, because that would make it look ridiculous. So that was one thing I want to point out as you go through and you identify things. Then I've got a link. I'm probably going to include all these links to this, and this one, maybe I have it in the 301 notes. Yeah, here it is. Okay, a link on prehistoric teeth. They were seen as proof of early human sex with Neanderthals. I find that to be quite an interesting so if there's that article to show you exists, I'll include the link. So what I would do if I see this, all right, I look at a couple of things. I say, okay, it's by Katie Hunt, CNN. Early modern humans and Neanderthals lived in Europe, parts of Asia at the same time, overlapping for several thousand years before our archaic relatives disappeared around 40,000 years ago. And it's talking about the evidence is buried within our genes, DNA. I know I'm 2% Neanderthal. I had mine checked out. And looking at Neanderthals, I can see why. I can see where that is. But okay, so that goes through the research and how this has been going on since 1910, 1911. Now, here's what I want to talk about in terms of how this relates to us here. And I talked about choosing our topics. I talked about different ways to do actual research. Okay, one of them, remember, was to gather data, get the data, and look at it, compare, contrast, analyze, assess it, interpret it, right? And the other way would be to go and get existing data that other researchers got, pull that together, and assess something entirely new out of that, or advance that knowledge. That's a tough thing to do again, and it'd be too easy in terms of new researchers like yourself to take existing data and not be able to find out something new. That's too big of an ask, in my opinion. So this one, but it's talking about here is that the site was first excavated in 1910, 1911. A new analysis of the teeth published in the Journal of Human Evolution. So look at this, a new analysis published, that means it's peer reviewed in this Journal of Human Evolution on Monday, has shown that the choppers actually came from two individuals who lived there 48,000 years ago. 7 of the teeth had both modern human and Neanderthal traits. So what did they do? They took existing data and they discovered something new. In this case, it was because we have new technologies, we have new ways to assess things, we have new ways to identify and make it stronger evidence. So they say, it's quoted as, we consider this the strongest direct evidence yet of interbreeding found in fossils, although we don't yet have DNA evidence to back this up. You see how it's being humble here. It's showing what they have without, being all kinds of hoopla and celebratory, right? This would contrast anecdotally to back in a few years ago, there were some Chinese scientists, I believe, who claimed to have discovered cold fusion. And I believe cold fusion is some type of methodology theoretically that a certain amount of energy going through some process can actually transition to more energy, which is something that would go against a lot of Einstein things, I think, and they totally did it and they had it written up and all this stuff. Well, there were peer review journals and people that were just screaming to get the data to test it themselves, because that's one thing to do in science is it gets retested by others. And when they did, they found out it was a bunch of hooey and malarkey and other kind of junk science. So this is where we come into the science and the research, and what you're doing in this course is helping you to expand your horizons of that. Now we have a third link here from National Geographic, and this is from one of your peers who sent me this, and I really greatly appreciate it. I did have to sign up for National Geographic updates, which didn't thrill me, but yet didn't hurt me either. But has science solved one of history's greatest adventure mysteries? The bizarre deaths of hikers at Russia's Dyatlov Pass have inspired countless conspiracy theories, but the answer may lie in an elegant computer model based on surprising sources. Okay, one of those sources includes the movie, the animation done through the movie Frozen. Okay, fascinating article, fascinating way to look at research, science, and conjecture, speculation, what the evidence tends to show, what it doesn't yet show. Very interesting. I'm going to include that link as well, because I think these are good examples. And when you find things like this that interest you and expand your brain, expand your mind, expand your knowledge of the world that you live in, you look at these and you can assess better what it means in terms of the consuming knowledge. So let's see. All right. Let's go with Easter egg number 1 and call it consumer of knowledge. Consumer of knowledge, okay? So again, with this text, I've been rereading it again. As you can tell, I try to re-highlight everything in a different way to make it so I understand what I want to talk about. But I just need a new book now, I think. The text is so good. I keep rereading it because I think it really, and if you're not reading it, you should be, and feel free to reread it again because it does say so much about what you're doing, what our field is. Remember, these videos I do are not intended to go over all the material step by step, things like, because frankly, 95% of my colleagues don't do this. It's not required that we do it. It's not required that you view it. Like I said, nothing is really required, right? You can do whatever you want. But I think it's a valuable text in a very concise way. There's not a lot of confusing terminology in here, like the other books that I showed you that we used to use in this class. So really indulge in this in terms of what it means in terms of IDS equals integration, and talked about that, okay? Talks about synthesizing. Yes, synthesizing is one way to look at it. I go with integration because it's a simple thing for us to continue to remember because we see it in so many places, right? All right. I noticed he talked a lot more, in the introduction about multidisciplinary and some programs that are much more multidisciplinary than interdisciplinary. There it is. That's what we're waiting for. Where you can see that there's a lack of learning how to integrate. Okay, because that's a tough thing, So it's the easy way out is just multiple disciplines, and then if something clicks, it clicks, right? Um, Talks about making meaningful connections between intentional areas of study. That's the ideal. A complex problem uh, that's best served by multiple disciplines, but that making meaningful connections between intentional areas of study. So my concentrations, African American studies and human rights, they had a meaningful connection there in terms of history, in terms of looking at the world. And so that was good. Whereas, we could say music and mathematics could have that connection. Okay. There are plenty that might not. Okay. Um, uh, Psychology of pets and astrobiology. I'm just making things up here, but you see what I mean, right? Okay. So, and also to remind you all that there can be a number of different people that comprise an interdisciplinary committee or interdisciplinary project where each one has expertise in a particular discipline or more, yes, but in this case, it could be two or more, and they're working in an interdisciplinary way. Okay? Yes, it makes them interdisciplinarians if that's the way they're working using that process. But then there's us, who we are taking two concentrations, learning how to integrate. Okay, so we can go out and if we need to identify areas of integration for complex problems, we can do that ourselves. So there's this singular individual type, and then there's this group committee type, right? All of it is interdisciplinary if it's dealing with integration, synthesizing, solving problems, complex problems, okay? He talks about, how employers today are looking for employees who just know more, who know more things about things, okay? And my belief is that it's because of things like this and like this, right? And what I'm talking to you on, we have access today to some unbelievable amounts of information. Okay, I mean, I have friends, again, my contemporaries over 60. Some of them are just completely technology illiterate, and that's fine. That's their lifestyle, right? But I marvel at the conversations we once had, like, what was that one song, that one song, who was that guy? I'm like, why even asking? Look it up. What was that one movie? What was that one, who, have an argument about who won the Oscar for Best Actor in 1987. Not that that's a big deal, of course, but I mean, the answers to everything are here right now, right? I mean, my friends laugh like that's on the internet. I said, yeah, if you kind of know how to ask Google or what have you, you can find basically just about anything. And there's older people that are like, how'd they get that all in there? Well, again, this is a hard thing for people who weren't exposed to this from young age to conceptualize what that means. So in the case of employers today and workers today and what you do in entrepreneurial and how you get by in the gig economy or whatever have you, and how you hustle and such, you really don't have to know more like we did in terms of going memorization, rote memorization to the library because you had to take the book back and all that stuff. You have to know how to use this. You have to use the information at hand, how to judge it from good information from bad information, how to discern it, you know. And if you can do that, you're much more of a value than someone who has a strict, closed philosophy to learning and contributing to our society. Um, all right, so let's see. All right, we went through that. I'm going to include these 3 links, I believe, on the, or I can't include. Well, I might be able to include Dr. Eric Dingle in the email announcement. So let's talk about. Oh, wait, I'm on 301 here. Let's go back to 302. Make sure I'm not missing anything. Okay, let's talk about the discussion board that you have to do coming up here on my video about HAL, the incomplete stories of a, what's it called? The incomplete stories of an irregular guy, yes. So Hal Brown, please view that. Like I said, you might have to modulate your volume a little bit. And then think outside the box. Identify the disciplines that you see involved in this video from start to finish, from conceptualization to script. I don't know. I mean, there's no script, I don't think. I still might have some notes. What do you see in this video? What kind of disciplines resonate? Do you understand, see here? Just write about it. And I think that in terms of, let me see here, module 2, it's module 4 already. This class is flying. Identifying disciplines. Okay, so what am I looking for here? 250 word minimum. Oh, and then, so it's 30 points for the main post, 5 each for the responses. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. But I think I'm sure it's set up there. You can't see everybody else's before you post it, right? So please don't cheat. I like to see what you get out of this. So I think it's a fun project because what I'm trying to do here, it might be a little clumsy, but if you take the world of academia, the academy that you're in now, and you look at real life, okay, outside the academy, okay, how do these things connect? How do they integrate? You know, how do we apply the things here to here? And how does that look? So if you're looking at a video like this, you're not obligated to disseminate it through academic disciplines. However, having the ability to see and identify and recognize certain attributes from a phenomena makes you a better thinker, a better consumer of knowledge. It might be working back there in some other lobe that I don't know of, but it's working. It's making you smarter, right? You're going to see things that others might not catch, and you're going to know why you're seeing it. This is exciting to me, okay? So let's go with Easter egg number 2. How am I doing on time? Yikes. Okay, Easter egg number 2 is somewhere here. We did Easter egg number 1, right? Easter egg number 2. Let's go with random adults. Random adults. Why do I say that? Because, you know why? It's a reminder that what are some of the opinions, perceptions, and experiences regarding blank, comma, revealed in a survey of random adults. I've said this about 35 times, I think. All right, so let's take a look at the step 1s, by the way. I think overall, even though the class is like 25 students, maybe it's not like I'm going to get hit with like 75 in session B. Percentage-wise, fabulous. The ones I've seen, fabulous. Now, you might say, well, why is it fabulous? Because I had to redo mine. Well, you didn't have to redo any of them, but you'll notice probably overall that I have a minimal issue with the content that you provided here. Okay, what I'm pointing out is formatting, grammar, things like that, yes, make me picky as all heck. Please don't call it strict. I think it's just picky. I think I'm picky because this paper is meant as a showcase paper for you. I believe it is. Okay. And I believe structure is important. And I believe as long as I'm reading these, if you need to indent a paragraph, I'm going to tell you. Okay. If you need to alphabetize your reference list, I'm going to tell you. If you have some issues with your citations, with, Oxford comma, by the way, I'm really not going to, I don't want the Oxford comma, but, if you don't know what it is, don't worry about it. It's a style issue, and I'm not going to worry about it. But I will advise you then. And then, for the most part, people have said, "Hey, yeah, I'll fix this and resubmit it," and boom, 50 points, right? So, content-wise, you're doing great. Formatting, this is nothing new. You're doing better than I've seen previous classes do. Okay, so the question is, are you going? Because I can't guarantee I'm going to let you redo every paper. By the way, once you make a mistake and I show you how to fix it, I teach you to fish. Then I'm expecting you to fish and not just say, well, he'll let me do it again if he catches it. Don't do that. Okay. So, in terms of step one, I've been happy about that. Remember to look at the 5 steps on the bottom of page 34 in the textbook, should you want to see more about, to get a reminder about these steps. Okay, so now here's some technical things. I would prefer that you do a running head at the top of the page. A running head just appears in all the pages, okay? And all you have to do up there is put in your name and put your general topic up there. I don't need anything else up there, okay? I don't need a heading like, John Doe, February 3rd, 2021, Michael Bear, blah, blah, blah. No, just give me up on top. You're just using too much space. We don't need that. Remember, at the final, this is going to be a long paper. You're just going to have a running head. And you're going to have a cover page, table of contents, etc. So let's just get that running header in there, okay? Let's see, what else do we want to talk about in here? All right, so in the purpose of your step 1, or if you didn't get it in there and you put it in step 2, that's fine. Okay, one thing probably is going to be good to add is the purpose, the objective here, to obtain a snapshot, if you will, of some of the opinions, perceptions, and experiences regarding blank. You fill in the blank, revealed in a survey of random adults. I probably left that in your comments. All right. So you want to add that in there. So early, step 1, 2, to give people an idea that's what you're doing here. And it's got to be word for word. So you can't take out the word some. You can't take out revealed in a survey of random adults. All right. So let's get that in there. All right. So another idealistic thing that I want to talk to you about is using 3 disciplines. Okay. Ideally, I know you got 2 concentrations, you have 2 fields of study, you're in interdisciplinary studies. Yes, you're going to learn about those concentrations outside of this course, but you're going to learn about integration and synthesizing in this course. Therefore, I do not require anyone to they don't have to use their concentrations. If you want to, great. If it works with you on the topic, great. Some of these concentrations don't work with the topic, okay, for this course. I understand that. So you're free. But ideally, I'd like you to use, if I had a third hand, I'd go 2, 1. 1, 2, 3. I want you to use 3 of them. That's the best way to do it. Because instead of just going ping, ping, back and forth about these 2, now you got a 50% increase. So now you got all these different combinations that you're going to look at in terms of your analysis, your annotated bibliography. And it makes for a much more richer, comprehensive paper. And I think you're going to appreciate that. It allows you, because in step 2, I'll get into that right now. And that's all I want to talk about step 2 now. So now we're going to be pushing the time here. We did the 2 Easter eggs, right? I'm hopeful that I remember all 3 this time. All right, so Tanner step 2. And by the way, there's a quiz 4. What is that all about? I'm sorry. I want to get everything out of the way before I got into step 2. Quiz 4. Okay, it's 2 open-ended short essay questions worth up to 20 points each. No time limit. Questions focus on your assimilation of Tanner's chapters 6, 7, and 8, as well as your own integrative research project for this course. Submit in Word only. Submit in Word only. Okay, it's just 2 questions. okay? And I'm going to tell you right now, one of them is without worrying about funding or access to a specific, to a place, demographic, information, or anything, what would the ideal research project be for you? Why? Using some of the tech terminology, concepts, and ideas from 6, 7, and 8, blah, blah, blah. Minimum's 300 words on both of these, on each of these, I should say 300. This should be a reach. I have problems with this question with a lot of my students because I want you to reach here. I don't want you to give me your topic, okay? I don't want you to be that lazy. I want you to reach here, okay? Without having restrictions to money, demographic, access, okay? You want to do research on extraterrestrial life, then have at it. Tell me about that, okay? If you want to do research on, why, I mean, anything, okay? All right? Why do research on, so think about it. Think outside the box. You got this. And the second question, refer especially to mapping the problem in chapter 7. Consider your actual research topic for this course. Here's the actual one, not the dream one from number 1. What disciplines have you identified that could be used for your project? For each discipline, summarize why it appears to be a good fit for your work in this course. You can reach here, as in consider the fields in the end. This relates to step 2, by the way. Even though it's after step 2, this is the same type of exercise. You shouldn't have a problem with either of these. Okay, now in terms of step 2, you want to, of course, look at the sample, okay? And the sample to step 2, it's about justifying interdisciplinary approach. So look at this sample. She did a great job, except it's not a running head. That's a header, so I prefer a running head. All right, you can see how there's sources used here. You can see the citations are posted, chef's kiss immaculately. It's like more of a reintroduction to the topic, but focusing on a interdisciplinary analysis requirement, and that comes through some questions that are asked rhetorically, not answered yet. All right. Looking at this, she does a great job writing this. Now she's looking at potential research questions from the perspective of relevant disciplines. So she's got anthropology, psychology, art history, medical, civil engineering. Then there's some assumptions of the study. Okay. Let's see, assumptions. Okay, assumption, limitations of the study. Limitations of the study are true for almost everyone. Okay, a limitation, be real here, be real. Okay, limitation of study is that this is research performed by inexperienced researcher. It is very limited in its time and scope. The data will be limited just based on natural factors, okay? So be realistic on limitations, all right? The assumptions of the study, you get to assume here. You can assume that in terms of alternative medicine, many people are familiar with certain aspects of it, but there's going to be a certain demographic that might be, still be skeptical about it. And always don't think in terms of absolutes. Keep absolutes and definitives out, because there's really nothing absolute here or definitive. It's all about kind of staying flexible, right? So you're going to make some assumptions about your study. Okay, you're going to use. So I think this is a really good, straightforward one. Use resources in terms of works cited, references. Look at the works cited list here. She did a good job. A couple of newspapers I'm not thrilled with. It's not the end of the world. Remember, journals, academic journals through the ASU library. I thought I'd have time to go through how to use that today. I'm not going to, except go to ASU library online, search for what you want, look for the filters. You should be able to filter for full text online and peer reviewed, and you're going to be set. Okay. I wanted to talk about continue to set up calls with me if you need to. I also wanted to mention that, and remember all the no I, me, my stuff and all the formatting stuff. I also want to talk to you about, you're going to have broad topics. Everybody does. And that's the hard thing in this course is that it's not that I'm telling you what to do and where to stop, where the edges are. You get to decide that. And that's a challenge. You get to decide how far, because if you keep looking at things, it can take you further and further out in your topic. You get to rein it in where you need to, where you want to. I'm here for guidance. I'm here to set up a call. Okay. I've got 2 today and I had a couple yesterday, and I really think they help in terms of getting you at least feeling better about where you're going. I may not even add anything, but you may feel better about it, at least knowing that, you know that I know and that I said, yeah, it's good, right? So let's do this. I'm at the 31st minute. If you're a soccer fanatic, you know what that means. And let's call it a day with Easter egg number 3, which I'm not going to forget. And that is use the ASU library. Use the ASU library. I really appreciate you sticking around this long. Have a great day. Forks up. Peace.